The silent observer. Captain Lena Voss stood motionless on the bridge of the exploration vessel Horizon, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the Sarin Nebula in all its glory. The swirling gases painted in blues and purples normally would have captivated her, but today her attention was elsewhere. The nebula was silent, too silent. "Anything, Terry?" she asked without turning. Her communications officer, a tall narraband with reflective skin that rippled with concern, shook his head. "Nothing, Captain. Outpost Sarin 7 remains unresponsive. That's the third station in this sector to go dark in the past month." Lena brushed a strand of dark hair from her face, the single streak of silver catching the light of the holographic display. At 43, she was young for a captain in the Coalition Exploration Corps, but the events of the past few weeks had added lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before. "Krell, take us in closer. Standard approach, but keep shields at maximum." Her first officer, a stocky Durrani whose thick carapace made him look perpetually hunched, nodded and relayed the orders. "Captain," he rumbled, his voice like stones grinding together. "Coalition Command advised against further investigation. They want us to return to Centauri Station for debriefing." Lena's jaw tightened. 3 outposts, Krell. Over 400 people. I'm not leaving until we know what happened to them. The Horizon moved gracefully through the colored gases, its sensors probing the darkness ahead. Lena had commanded this vessel for 7 years, exploring the furthest reaches of known space for the interstellar coalition of sentient species. The coalition, 18 diverse species bound by mutual interest and a shared vision of galactic cooperation, had expanded steadily for centuries, mapping, studying, and occasionally settling new worlds. Outpost Sarin 7 came into view, its spinning rings intact, exterior lights still functioning. It appeared undamaged, peaceful even, against the backdrop of the nebula. "Life signs?" Lena asked. "None detected," replied Suvi, the Taxeri sensor specialist. Her feathered crest flattened against her skull, a sign of distress among her kind. "Environmental systems are operational. No hull breaches. No radiation. No signs of weapon discharge. Just like the others," Lena muttered. "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures," Suvi continued, her 6-fingered hands moving across her console. "Similar to those we found at Outpost Lyrex 4, but stronger. Can you identify them?" "No, Captain. They don't match anything in our database." Lena made her decision. "Prepare a boarding team. I want—" "Captain." Terry interrupted, his reflective skin now pulsing rapidly. "I'm picking up a transmission. It's coming from the outpost. Put it through." The bridge speakers crackled to life, filling the command center with static before resolving into a voice. Neither male nor female, neither young nor old, speaking in a language none of them recognized. Yet somehow, Lena understood the meaning perfectly. "We have watched long enough. The time of silence ends." Every screen on the bridge flickered simultaneously, displaying the same strange symbols before translating into Coalition Standard. "The Forgotten Return. The debt remains unpaid." "What is this?" Krell demanded, his carapace plates clicking together nervously. Lena stared at the message, a chill running down her spine. "Run it through the xenolinguistic database. Find out what language that is." Minutes passed as the ship's AI processed the transmission. When the results appeared on her console, Lena's blood ran cold. "That's impossible," she whispered. "What is it, Captain?" Krell asked, moving to her side. "The language pattern matches Earth Standard English, a human language." The bridge fell silent. Humans were extinct, had been for over 2,000 years. Their homeworld, Earth, had been destroyed when its sun unexpectedly went supernova, leaving only fragments of their history and technology scattered throughout nearby systems. The few human colonies beyond their home system had collapsed soon after, unable to survive without support. "There must be an error," Krell said. "Perhaps the database is corrupted." "Run it again," Lena ordered, "and access the historical archives. I want everything we have on humans and their communication systems." While they waited, the Horizon continued its scans of the outpost. No signs of battle, no indication of what had happened to the personnel stationed there. They had simply vanished. "Second analysis confirms," Terry announced. 99.87% match to Earth Standard English, with some linguistic drift consistent with approximately 2,000 years of evolution. Lena paced the bridge, her mind racing. "That's not possible. Humans have been extinct since before any of our species joined the coalition." "Captain," Suvi called from her station, "those energy signatures I detected. They're increasing in intensity and changing frequency." Before Lena could respond, every console on the bridge activated simultaneously, screens displaying the same message. "We were never extinct. We simply became something else. The time for hiding has ended." The ship shuddered as an invisible force seemed to pass through it. For a moment, Lena heard whispers in her mind, countless voices speaking words she couldn't quite grasp. "All stations, report," she commanded, steadying herself against her chair. "No damage detected," Krell replied after checking the systems. "But whatever that was, it passed through our shields as if they weren't there." "Captain," Terry said, his voice trembling, "I'm receiving transmissions from Coalition Command. Similar phenomena are being reported throughout Coalition space. Outposts going silent, mysterious messages, energy signatures that defy analysis." Lena returned to her chair, her decision made. "Set course for Coalition headquarters. Maximum speed." As the Horizon pulled away from the outpost, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, observed by eyes that saw beyond normal space, beyond the limitations of physical form. "Terry, access the sealed historical archives. I want to know everything about the final days of humanity, not the official record. I want the classified files." "Captain, those require alpha-level clearance," Krell objected. "Then it's fortunate I have it." She entered her authorization codes, opening files that had remained sealed for centuries. What she found there challenged everything she thought she knew about galactic history. The official record stated that humanity had been an emerging spacefaring species when their sun unexpectedly went supernova, destroying Earth and leaving their few colonies to wither and die. A tragedy, but one that had occurred before the coalition even formed. The classified files told a different story. As Lena read, her expression hardened. Early coalition species had encountered humans nearly 2,200 years ago. Initial observations suggested humans were advancing rapidly, developing technologies that might eventually rival those of the more established species. Some coalition leaders had advocated for first contact and eventual integration. Others had feared humanity's rapid advancement and unpredictable nature. Before a consensus could be reached, Earth had been destroyed. The official cause: a natural stellar catastrophe. The classified files suggested otherwise. "They made it look like a natural event," Lena whispered, scanning the ancient reports. "But it wasn't. It was deliberate." "Who would destroy an entire planet?" Krell asked, reading over her shoulder. "Someone afraid of what humans might become," Lena replied. She continued reading, discovering that after Earth's destruction, scattered human colonies had gone silent one by one. Most had assumed they collapsed without their homeworld support, but the classified records hinted at a more sinister possibility: a systematic elimination of human presence in the galaxy. Yet one final report, sealed at the highest level, suggested something else, a theory proposed by a lone researcher centuries ago and promptly buried. What if some humans escaped? What if they knew what was coming and prepared? What if they simply disappeared? The researcher had pointed to a curious human military doctrine called the Ghost Protocol. When facing a technologically superior enemy with overwhelming numbers, conventional warfare ensures defeat. Instead, become a ghost. Let them believe you are destroyed. Watch, learn, survive. Strike only when necessary and in ways your enemy cannot comprehend. As Lena finished reading, the ship's communication system activated again without command. This time, the message was clear, delivered in perfect Coalition standard. Captain Lena Voss of the Horizon, you seek truth. This is commendable. Not all who wear the Coalition emblem share your integrity. We have watched for centuries. We have evolved beyond what you would recognize. We remember what was done to us. We remember those who sought our extinction. The reckoning has begun, but not all will be judged the same. Meet us at these coordinates. Come alone. You have 48 hours. Coordinates appeared on her personal console, a location in unclaimed space, far from any Coalition outpost or settled world. How do they know your name? Krell asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lena closed the classified files, her decision already made. Plot a course to these coordinates. Captain, Coalition protocols require. I know what they require, Krell. I also know that whatever we're facing has technology far beyond our understanding and a very legitimate grievance. If there's any chance to prevent further loss of life, I have to take it. As the Horizon changed course, heading toward the mysterious coordinates, Lena couldn't help but wonder what humanity had become in the 2 millennia since their supposed extinction. What kind of beings could survive the destruction of their homeworld, hide for thousands of years, and now return with capabilities that seemed almost godlike? And most troubling of all, what would their vengeance look like? The Awakening. Lena stood alone in her quarters, staring at her reflection in the small mirror mounted on the wall. She had ordered the Horizon to the coordinates provided by the mysterious entity, but had not shared her full intentions with her crew. Not yet. Captain's log, personal entry, she spoke softly. We're 6 hours from the rendezvous point. Coalition Command has ordered us to return to headquarters immediately, but I've delayed acknowledging those orders. Whatever these entities are, evolved humans or something else entirely, they've demonstrated capabilities far beyond our technology. They could have destroyed us already if that was their only objective. She paused, running her fingers through her hair. The silver streak a reminder of the radiation exposure that had nearly killed her 3 years ago during a rescue mission gone wrong. The classified files on humanity's end are disturbing. If even half of what they suggest is true, then the early Coalition species committed an atrocity of unimaginable scale. And now, the descendants of those victims have returned. A soft chime interrupted her recording. Captain, Krell's voice came through the comm. We're receiving a transmission from Admiral Varen. Priority Alpha. Lena sighed. I'll take it here. The stern face of Admiral Varen appeared on her screen, his Altaran features set in a rigid expression of disapproval. The luminescent patterns across his scaled skin pulsed with barely contained anger. Captain Voss, you were ordered to return to headquarters 12 hours ago. Explain your delay. Communication difficulties. Admiral, Lena replied smoothly. The phenomena we've been investigating have been causing intermittent disruptions. Say your excuses, Voss. Your ship's transponder shows you're heading away from Coalition space. Where exactly are you going? Lena chose her next words carefully. Admiral, I've discovered information in the classified archives that suggests these events are connected to humanity's destruction over 2,000 years ago. Varen's expression darkened. Those files are sealed for a reason, Captain. Yes, to hide the fact that early Coalition species deliberately destroyed Earth and systematically eliminated human colonies afterward, Lena shot back. And now something connected to humanity has returned, with technology far beyond ours. You don't know what you're talking about, Varen hissed. Those events happened long before any current species joined the Coalition. Ancient history, irrelevant. Not to them, Lena said. They've given me coordinates for a meeting. I intend to hear what they have to say. That is explicitly forbidden. You will return to headquarters immediately or face court-martial for insubordination. Lena leaned closer to the screen. With respect, Admiral, I believe this may be our only chance to prevent further loss of life. The beings we're dealing with could have destroyed the entire coalition already if they wanted to. They're choosing to communicate instead. You're making a grave mistake, Voss. One that could endanger the entire coalition. Perhaps, Lena conceded, but I believe the greater danger lies in refusing to acknowledge past wrongs. I'm going to that meeting, Admiral. Horizon out. She cut the transmission before Varen could respond, knowing full well the consequences of her actions. If she survived this encounter, her career was over. If she didn't, well, that wouldn't matter anyway. The door to her quarters slid open, revealing Krell and Terry. "You heard?" she asked. Krell nodded. "We all did. The entire bridge crew." Lena braced herself for their objections, for the inevitable mutiny that would follow such a direct violation of orders. "We're with you, Captain," Terry said, his reflective skin rippling with determination. "All of us." Surprised, Lena looked between them. "You understand what this means. Your careers, your futures in the coalition." "With respect, Captain," Krell interrupted, "if these entities are what we think they are, and they want vengeance for what was done to them, there may not be a coalition in our futures anyway. Besides," Terry added, "we've served with you for years. You've earned our trust. If you believe this is the right course of action, we stand with you." For the first time in days, Lena felt a flicker of hope. "Thank you," she said simply. "Now let's prepare for this meeting. I want detailed scans of the rendezvous coordinates. If there's anything there, a ship, a station, anything, I want to know about it before we arrive." Hours later, as the horizon approached the designated coordinates, tension gripped the entire crew. Scans had revealed nothing unusual about their destination, just empty space in a region rarely traveled by coalition vessels. "We're here," Suvi announced from her station, holding position at the exact coordinates. Lena stood from her captain's chair, surveying the view screen that showed nothing but stars. "Passive scans only. Let's not appear hostile." Minutes passed in silence. Then, without warning, space itself seemed to ripple before them, as though reality was a pond and someone had dropped a stone into it. The distortion expanded, forming what appeared to be a gateway of swirling energy. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy readings," Suvi reported, her feathered crest rigid with alarm. "Nothing like I've ever seen before." Before Lena could respond, a voice filled the bridge. The same voice they had heard before, but now speaking perfect coalition standard. "Captain Voss, you have shown courage by coming here. Few in the coalition would have done the same. We invite you aboard. You may bring 2 others if you wish. We mean you no harm." Lena exchanged glances with Krell. "Aboard what? There's no ship out there." As if in answer, a vessel emerged from the swirling gateway. Or perhaps it had been there all along, somehow hidden from their sensors. It was unlike any ship Lena had ever seen, with a fluid, organic design that seemed to shimmer and change as she watched. "That's not a spacecraft," Suvi whispered in awe. "At least, not in any conventional sense. It exists partially in dimensions beyond our normal perception." "Can we communicate directly with them?" Lena asked. Terry nodded, activating the comms. "Channel open. This is Captain Lena Voss of the Horizon. We accept your invitation. My first officer Krell and communications officer Terry will accompany me." Acknowledged. Prepare for transition. Before anyone could ask what that meant, Lena, Krell, and Terry were enveloped in a soft golden light. The bridge of the horizon dissolved around them, replaced by a space that defied easy description. They stood in what appeared to be a vast chamber with walls that shifted and flowed like liquid crystal. The floor beneath them was solid but seemed to respond to their movements, adjusting to provide perfect support with each step. The lighting had no obvious source but illuminated everything clearly, and before them stood 3 figures. At first glance, they appeared human, bipedal, with recognizable features. But as Lena looked closer, she realized they were something more. Their skin had a subtle luminescence, and their eyes held depths that seemed to extend beyond physical space. They wore no visible clothing, instead covered by what appeared to be a second skin that shifted colors with their movements. "Welcome," said the central figure, its voice matching the one they had heard on their ship. "I am Elian. These are Soren and Vex. We are what humanity has become." Lena found her voice. "You're really humans, descendants of Earth." Elian smiled, though the expression seemed practiced, as if smiling was not something they often did. "We are what humans evolved into after the destruction of Earth. Though descendants is not entirely accurate, some of us are the same individuals who survived that cataclysm, though we have changed considerably." "That's impossible," Krell objected. "Even with advanced life extension, no being could live 2,000 years. Time flows differently when you exist partially outside conventional space-time," Soren explained, their voice melodic and strangely calming. "And when necessity demands evolution, remarkable adaptations can occur." Lena stepped forward. "The records I found suggest Earth's destruction wasn't natural. That early coalition species deliberately destroyed our world." Elian finished for her. "Yes, they feared what we might become. Ironically, their actions accelerated that transformation." "I don't understand," Lena said. "How did you survive? And why reveal yourselves now, after all this time?" The three beings exchanged glances, communicating silently. Finally, Vex spoke, their voice deeper, resonating in a way that Lena felt in her chest. "When we detected coalition observation ships in our system, some of our leaders recognized the potential threat. They implemented what we called the Ghost Protocol, a strategy to fake our extinction while actually relocating our population." "But destroying your own sun?" Terry asked incredulously. "That's beyond any technology we possess even now." "We didn't destroy our sun," Elian clarified. "We created an illusion of its destruction, an enormous energy shell that mimicked a supernova while actually containing and redirecting the blast energy. Meanwhile, we evacuated Earth through dimensional gateways to prepared sanctuary worlds. The coalition observers saw what we wanted them to see," Soren added. "A tragic stellar event that destroyed a promising young species. Those who suspected otherwise were silenced or ignored. For 2,000 years, we've lived in the spaces between conventional reality." Vex continued. "Watching, learning, evolving. We developed technologies based on principles your science has yet to discover. We transcended our original biological limitations. But why come back now?" Lena pressed. "After all this time?" Elian's expression hardened. "Because the Coalition has begun harvesting resources from our sanctuary worlds. The outposts that have gone silent, they were built on sites sacred to us, using materials taken from memorials to our dead." Lena felt a chill run down her spine. "The Coalition didn't know." "Ignorance does not erase the offense," Vex interrupted. "But we recognize that today's Coalition is not the same entity that sought our destruction millennia ago. That is why we are communicating rather than simply eliminating the outposts. We want acknowledgement," Elian said firmly. "Recognition of what was done to us. Reparation for the sanctuaries that have been desecrated. And a guarantee that our remaining spaces will be respected." "And if the Coalition refuses?" Krell asked. The three beings said nothing, but the space around them darkened momentarily, the walls of the chamber pulsing with energy that made Lena's skin tingle unpleasantly. "We do not wish for conflict," Soren said finally, "but we will not be victims again." Lena took a deep breath. "I believe your story, and I believe you deserve justice, but I'm just a captain. I don't speak for the Coalition." "We know," Elian replied, "but you have something many in the Coalition lack, an open mind and a sense of justice that transcends species. We want you to be our advocate." "Me? Why would the Council listen to me? I've already disobeyed direct orders coming here." "Because," Vex said, moving closer, You will return with proof they cannot ignore." The being extended their hand, offering what appeared to be a small crystal sphere. "This contains verifiable historical records of Earth, humanity, and the conspiracy to destroy us," Elian explained. "It also contains a message from us to your Coalition Council. You have 3 days to deliver it. If they agree to our terms, peace is possible. If not..." The unspoken threat hung in the air between them. Lena hesitated, then accepted the sphere. As her fingers closed around it, images flooded her mind. Earth as it once was, blue and green and beautiful. The panic as the false supernova approached. The desperate evacuation through dimensional gateways. And the long, patient evolution of humanity into something beyond their original form. "I'll do what I can," she promised as the visions faded. "But the Coalition is vast, with many different species and interests. Getting them to acknowledge events from 2,000 years ago won't be easy." "We have waited 2 millennia," Elian said. "We can wait a little longer for justice, but not much longer." The golden light enveloped them again, and moments later, Lena, Krell, and Terry found themselves back on the bridge of the horizon, the crystal sphere still clutched in Lena's hand. "Set course for Coalition headquarters," she ordered. "Maximum speed." As the horizon turned away from the mysterious vessel, leaving the gateway to the evolved humans' realm behind, Lena stared at the small crystal sphere in her palm. It seemed to pulse with inner light, holding within it the truth of an ancient crime, and possibly the key to the Coalition's survival, reckoning, and reconciliation. The Grand Chamber of the Coalition Council fell silent as Lena placed the crystal sphere on the central podium. Over 500 representatives from 18 species sat in concentric rings around her, their diverse faces showing emotions ranging from skepticism to outright hostility. Admiral Varen stood to the side, his luminescent patterns flashing with barely contained anger. He had demanded Lena's immediate arrest upon her return to Coalition space, but the Council's curiosity about her encounter had temporarily stayed his hand. "Distinguished representatives," Lena began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. 3 days ago, I made contact with beings who claimed to be evolved descendants of humanity, a species we believed extinct for over 2,000 years. Murmurs swept through the chamber. Most species in the Coalition knew humans only as a historical footnote, an emerging civilization tragically lost to a stellar catastrophe long before the modern Coalition formed. Captain Voss has already admitted to accessing classified files without authorization and disobeying direct orders. Varen interrupted. Her testimony is compromised and cannot be trusted. The head of the council, a venerable Zolothi named Elder Maul, whose translucent body pulsed with neutral blues, raised a hand for silence. Captain Voss was granted temporary immunity to present her findings. Elder Maul reminded everyone, her voice gentle but firm. "We will hear her out before making any judgments." Lena nodded gratefully to the elder before continuing. "The beings I encountered possess technology far beyond our understanding. They can manipulate space and time in ways our science cannot explain, and they have provided this." She gestured to the crystal sphere, as evidence of their claims. "What exactly is that device?" Ask a representative from the Durrani Confederation. "It's a data storage medium containing historical records," Lena explained. "But more than that, it's a message. An ultimatum from a species that believes it was wronged by the early Coalition." "This is absurd," Varen scoffed. "Even if these beings are somehow connected to ancient humans, any grievances they might have would be from over 2 millennia ago, long before any current Coalition member joined. The past doesn't simply disappear because it's inconvenient." "Admiral," Lena countered, "these beings claim that Earth's destruction was not a natural event, but a deliberate act by early spacefaring species who feared humanity's potential. Species whose governments eventually formed the foundation of the Coalition." The chamber erupted in protests and exclamations of disbelief. Elder Maul had to strike her resonance rod 3 times to restore order. "These are serious accusations, Captain," the elder said. Do you have evidence beyond this sphere? Lena nodded. I accessed classified historical archives that suggest the official story of Earth's destruction was fabricated. Those records indicate that early observation vessels noted humanity's rapid technological advancement and considered them a potential threat. Shortly afterward, Earth's sun inexplicably went supernova, a type of stellar event that should have been impossible for that class of star. And you believe these beings you encountered are actually humans who somehow survived this alleged attack? Asked another council member skeptically. I do, Lena affirmed. They explained that they didn't actually escape Earth's destruction. They faked it. They created an illusion of a supernova while evacuating their population to sanctuary worlds through dimensional gateways. They've spent the last 2,000 years living in what they call the spaces between conventional reality, evolving beyond their original biological limitations. This sounds like fantasy, Captain, Varen said dismissively. No species could achieve such capabilities. And yet, Lena replied, these beings have demonstrated the ability to neutralize outposts throughout Coalition space without leaving a trace of their methods. They can bypass our most sophisticated shields, communicate directly with our minds, and transport beings instantly across vast distances. If they wanted to destroy us, Admiral, they could have done so already. This sobering thought quieted even the most vocal skeptics. What do these evolved humans want? Elder Mal asked. Lena took a deep breath. Acknowledgement, recognition of the wrong done to their ancestors, reparations for sanctuary worlds that Coalition outposts have inadvertently desecrated, and a guarantee that their remaining spaces will be respected and left untouched. Reparations, Varen exploded, for alleged events that occurred millennia ago. This is extortion. It is justice, came a voice that filled the chamber, the same voice Lena had heard on the horizon. The air in the center of the chamber shimmered, and three figures materialized. Elian, Soren, and Vex. Their arrival caused panic among the representatives, many leaping to their feet or activating personal shields. Security, Varen shouted, drawing his sidearm. Your weapons cannot harm us, Elian said calmly. And we have not come to harm you. We've come to speak truth directly to those who need to hear it. Elder Mal, showing remarkable composure, addressed the intruders. You claim to be human, yet you appear unlike any historical records of that species. We have evolved, Soren explained. Necessity and opportunity shaped us into what you see before you. But our origins remain human, and you claim our ancestors destroyed your world. Elder Mal asked. Not your personal ancestors, Elder, Vex clarified. Few current Coalition species were even part of the early alliance that formed your organization. But yes, the governments that founded what eventually became the Coalition agreed that humanity posed a potential future threat and took preemptive action. This is their evidence, Lena said, gesturing to the crystal sphere. Historical records salvaged from Earth before its apparent destruction, along with communications between the early Alliance members discussing the human problem and deliberating various solutions. At a nod from Elder Mal, a technical specialist approached the sphere. As they reached for it, it activated, projecting a three-dimensional display that filled the chamber with images. Earth as it once was, early human space exploration, observation vessels from alien civilizations monitoring Earth, and finally, classified communications between those civilizations discussing humanity's rapid advancement and unpredictable nature. The final projection showed the decision. Earth's sun would be artificially induced to go supernova, eliminating the perceived threat while appearing to be a natural, if tragic, cosmic event. Silence fell over the chamber as the projections faded. Even Varen appeared shaken by what they had witnessed. If what we've seen is accurate, Elder Mal said carefully, a great injustice was indeed committed. But how can we verify these records after so much time has passed? The quantum signature of the data is authentic, the technical specialist reported, sounding surprised. These are not fabrications. They match fragments in our own oldest archives, but provide context our records lack. We do not demand vengeance, Elian said, addressing the entire council. We have moved beyond such primitive impulses. What we seek is acknowledgement, respect, and the return of our sanctuary spaces. The outposts that have gone silent, Lena added. They were built on sites sacred to evolved humanity, using materials taken from their memorials to the dead. Understanding dawned on many faces throughout the chamber. The mysterious disappearances, the untraceable communications, the energy signatures that defied analysis, all suddenly made sense in the context of an advanced species reclaiming desecrated sites. If what you say is true, Elder Maul said, the modern coalition bears responsibility for these recent transgressions, even if we were ignorant of their significance. For that, I offer our sincere apology. Apologies are a beginning, Vex acknowledged. But we require action as well. Varen stepped forward, his anger returning. This council does not negotiate under threat. You've attacked coalition outposts and personnel. That constitutes an act of war. Admiral Varen, Lena interjected, with respect, that approach will only escalate a conflict we cannot win. These beings could have destroyed every outpost with all personnel aboard. Instead, they temporarily displaced the crews to nearby systems. No lives were lost. Captain Voss is correct, Elder Maul said. If these evolved humans wished us harm, we would already have suffered it. I propose we negotiate in good faith. Varen wasn't finished. And if we refuse, if we determine these claims are fabrications designed to manipulate us. The three evolved humans exchanged glances. Then Elian made a simple gesture, and every system in the Grand Chamber, from the environmental controls to the representatives' personal devices, shut down simultaneously. A moment later, they reactivated as if nothing had happened. We do not threaten, Elian said quietly. We demonstrate. Your technology is to ours as stone tools were to our ancestors. We could render your systems inoperable across your entire coalition. We could alter the fundamental physical laws within localized spaces. We could, if we wished, induce your sons to nova in truth, not illusion. The chamber fell silent again, the implications of Elian's words sinking in. But that is not our desire, Soren added, their voice gentler. We've observed the coalition's evolution over centuries. Most of you build, explore, and cooperate in good faith. Your founding may be tainted by an ancient crime, but your present holds promise. We propose a treaty, Vex stated. Recognition of our existence and our sovereignty over designated regions of space. Non-interference with our sanctuary worlds. Reparations in the form of abandoned outposts in regions you no longer utilize. And a commitment to historical truth, the acknowledgement in your official records of what was done to us. Elder Maul looked around the chamber, gauging the reactions of the representatives. Most seemed to recognize the gravity of the situation and the opportunity it presented. I move that we establish a diplomatic commission to negotiate terms with the... She hesitated, searching for the right term. We call ourselves the Transcended, Elian offered. Though we remember our human origins, we have become something more. With the Transcended, Elder Maul continued, with Captain Voss serving as initial liaison due to the trust she has established. The motion passed with surprising speed, opposition melting away in the face of